All right. I think I am. Let's see here. Do this, do that. Double check this, double check that. Think I'm about ready to get going here. Let's see. I keep striving to actually start my live streams at 10, but I always miss that mark. But oh well. Some days are busier than others for me. Let's see. Getting my show notes ready. As you can tell by the thumbnail, I am doing. I'm going to be chatting about the Hollywood remake, or more specifically, movies that will never be remade, even though they could be, they should be. Question mark. It always comes down to Hollywood and what they're going to do, because sometimes you never know what they're going to do, what they're going to give us. There's no shortage of remakes, reboots, reimaginings, rehashing, re this, re that, re whatever they want to do with any particular franchise and get their mitts on. Here recently, they Hollywood types love to mine the 80s for nostalgia that is always ripe for nostalgia, building on something, trying to get something that they can make a quick buck off of. And it's never done in a way that will do the franchise justice. I mean, think of your favorite TV show from the 80s. There's more than likely a reboot of it that is heartless and soulless. I can think of, well, here recently there is the Fall Guy movie. I mean, the Fall Guy movie based on the TV show about what was he, a stunt man turned bounty hunter or something like that. I forget. I've seen quite a bit of it in the 80s, but it's the sort of thing you watch and then you kind of forget all about it until you come across the movie poster, which looks atrocious. Of course, with all that said, I was thinking off and on the past few days about some TV shows I kind of enjoyed over the decades, some that I even love a great deal. Thinking about ones that could use the remake treatment, some that really kind of deserved it in some way, some older TV shows, some older films that might have been neglected or even long forgotten. So I've kind of gone through and kind of made a list of ones that I thought could actually benefit from being rebooted or remade or whatnot. And then I found myself having to whittle that list down because it was getting pretty long. A lot of the properties from the 70s and 80s and whatnot, there's never a shortage of movies and TV shows fans would like to see rebooted, remade, and whatnot. This, of course, runs counter to what Hollywood actually does. Hollywood and anybody who's behind TV shows and whatnot. Because usually when we get a franchise that's been rebooted or remade, it's usually something we've never asked for, something we've never wanted. It's like, boom, here it is. You didn't ask for it, you didn't want it. Boom, here it is. I was making up a list, like I said, making up a list of movies. Some of them actually have a cult following to them. Then, of course, I had to whittle that list down quite a bit. Okay, where do I want to start off with? I want to start off with, let's see. Yeah, this is not a bad one. I can start off with this one. Dun, 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 dun. Let me boom right there. Sharing the first movie I thought really could use the reboot treatment. That is Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. This was a great movie. I'm actually holding it in my hands right now. I had to flip on my office light there. Yeah. Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. I'm holding the Blu-ray in my hands right now, based on the first of Kenneth Robison's 181 action-packed Doc Savage books. Doc Savage, the man of bronze, hits the screen with all of its gee whiz, gung ho spirit intact, and its bold protagonist, who, along with having a Herculean body, is also a surgeon, linguist, inventor, who remains determined to do all to. I can't speak tonight. It's been a long day. Who remains determined to do right to all and wrong to no one. Ron Ely, TV's Tarzan, plays a strapping savage in this high camp, big budget's tale of his trek into the Valley of the Vanished to confront the power hungry Captain Seas. This film was a hoot. It's rated G. It was a fun film to watch. Let's see, screenplay by George Powell and Joseph Morhaime, again based on the novels by Kenneth Robison. Let's see, what came out in, what was it, 1975? Yeah, 75. Like I said, this was a fun movie to watch. It rated G. So if you're wanting something that is kind of family friendly, this is one of those enjoyable movies that you can watch clean. Trying to think, it runs counter to the entertainment you come across nowadays. The kind of entertainment that's filled with all kinds of filthy stuff you wouldn't want to watch, harsh language, whatnot. Yeah, Doc Savage is a throwback to a bygone era. And checking out the Wikipedia entry, because I didn't have time today to jot down my own notes on this, but the Wikipedia entry will suffice for this. Doc Savage is a fictional character of the competent hero type character. First appeared in American pulp magazines during the 30s and 40s. Real name Clark Savage Jr. is a scientist, explorer, detective, warrior who rights wrongs and punishes evildoers. I mean, this is a throwback to the pulp era action hero of the 30s and 40s, because there's a number of pulp characters I'm going to touch on tonight. I didn't intend to do this, but this is just how it shaped up, because some of the characters we're going to talk about tonight are from the pulp era, kind of like the Shadow, that sort of thing. One movie. I watched this movie. I picked it up as a Christmas present to myself. Watched it with family members. We all loved it. It's the sort of thing that after I was done watching it, I wanted more. I wanted more of this character, this movie. And since there's like 181 novels, that is a lot of material to draw from. If there was anything that just begged the reboot, remake treatment, it's this one. But sadly, we'll probably never get a proper adaptation. We'll probably never get. I could see this being like a made for TV movie, like you know, almost have like a weekly uh hour and a half episode. You could work in I don't know, 2 books. I don't know how that would work. I've never read any of the books. That's on my to-do list is to purchase some of the novels and start reading them because it's the sort of thing that I find myself thinking if I enjoyed the movie, how much more am I going to enjoy the novels? Because you'll never hear anybody say, wow, that movie was so much better than the novels it was based on. No, it's usually, oh, that was nothing like the novels, or that was not as good as the novels. This movie was great. This is the sort of movie I can just really recommend to anybody. If you're wanting something that you can enjoy, uh, Doc Savage is it. Now, kind of moving, oops, as I resized the wrong tab here. Now, kind of going into movies of the past, this next one is no stranger to anybody. And here we go. Resizing this tab now to make this image of Indiana Jones a little bit bigger. Now, I won't say this movie needs to be rebooted or reimagined or remade. The first 3 movies were great. I won't say they're the perfect trilogy. They're a really good trilogy. I mean, most people love the first one and the third one, and uh, second one, Temple of Doom. Well, that was okay. That was kind of a strange adventure for Indiana Jones, but I wouldn't say these movies would need to be remade. I would say the character and the material is ripe for adaptation with original stories. I would love to see a Indiana Jones TV show, a weekly show that uh, would explore the character a bit more. Because when you look at the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie, you do have to ask yourself, what was the character doing between those movies? It would be great to have this serialized adventure, maybe 2, 3, 4 seasons worth of content. Keep the character in the 30s. There's so much possibility for growth and character development, new stories. Of course, you'd have to hire recast the character because Harrison Ford way too old at this point, and I don't know unless you had old man Indy in his retirement recounting his tales of adventure to his grandchildren and whatnot. You'd have to recast somebody younger, eager to take on the role. I think that's just ripe for adaptation. Now, given the time frame of, say, Doc Savage and Indiana Jones, that would be one heck of a crossover, wouldn't it? Two adventurers globetrotting. It's really mind-boggling to think of all the possibilities you could have with Indiana Jones on a weekly TV show. It'd be probably be something like well, what was that old TV show? Tales of the Gold Monkey, that comes to mind. Something similar, something in the same vein. Numerous other TV shows kind of go along in that same mold. But yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't want to see a reboot of Indiana Jones. The first three movies were great. I didn't mind the fourth movie, but it's not all that memorable. And some people say there's a fifth movie out there, but I don't know. I don't quite believe that. I'll just tend to ignore any talk of a fifth Indiana Jones movie. No, the first three movies, the Indiana Jones trilogy, that was a really good trilogy. And the third movie, of course, was really the perfect ending. The main characters riding off into the sunset. That was beautiful. Now, if you wanted to get some good writing and write up the character going on wild adventures between the first and second movie, I would love to see that on the small screen. Let's see here. Moving right along to another movie pick. Something I thought would be ripe for rebooting or remaking. John Carter of Mars. Of course, this movie came out in 2012. Let's see who did this. Let me look up my notes real quick. Of course, based on the books by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Came out in as I'm kind of going through my notes here. Oh, there it is. There's everything. I'm kind of fumbling all over the place. Okay, well, I'll make it easy on myself and go right to the Wikipedia entry. John Carter is a 2012 American science fiction action adventure film directed by Andrew Stanton, written by Stanton, Mark Andrews, and Michael Chabon, based on A Princess of Mars, the first book in the Barsoom series of novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Okay, I actually remember when this movie came out, catching the TV trailers and whatnot, the theater, the trailers shown in a theater. It's like I think the biggest stumbling block to this movie was that the studio behind it at the time just didn't know how to market it. It actually wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty entertaining. Uh, Unfortunately, let's face it, Edgar Rice Burroughs is not exactly a household name. If you want to talk about famous writers, if you ask somebody to name a famous writer, and not very many people would say Edgar Rice Burroughs. So trying to market John Carter, I mean, it's just the name. They could have come up with a better title, better description, some better way of marketing this movie, because I think they ended up losing a lot of people. I quite enjoyed it myself from what little I remember of the few times I've watched it. Let's see. Looking at the Wikipedia entry, trying to find. Yes. John Carter's marketing has been called one of the worst marketing campaigns in movie history. Reading from Wikipedia entry, the filmmakers believe the decision made in the marketing of the film were the primary reason for its failure, which is kind of sad because it honestly wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty entertaining, quite enjoyable, but it wasn't the sort of thing that would inspire people to go see it in droves. Let's see. Title change. The film's title was a major issue. It was originally titled John Carter of Mars, but they changed that later on. I think that was a mistake. This makes me think it's like the decision made by committee, because you've got a group of people trying to decide how to market something and they all miss the mark. Now, is this a good property for remaking, rebooting, readapting? Probably would be, because you think of all the source material that Edgar Rice Burroughs, all the books that he's written in this franchise, you have a lot of material to draw from a well done adaptation, a good series of movies, or even probably a decent multi-season TV show. Let me look up Edgar Rice Burroughs real quick. I want to see how many books he's written for. Dun, 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 dun. Barsoom series. Okay. Number of books, 11. So that's 11 books that could be adapted into maybe a few movies, maybe a pretty decent TV series. I've never actually read any of the novels. That is on my to read list right after Doc Savage. Now, next up, let me see here. All right. Next up, another movie that could probably benefit from being remade or rebooted. Call the Conqueror. Now, probably not a lot of people remember this movie. It kind of came and went from what I remember. Again, it was based on Robert E. Howard, his novels of the same character. Let's see. So I'm checking my notes. There's actually a comic books, novels, comic books. As I'm stumbling around trying to find the number of novels or stories involving the character, and it's quite a bit. There's a lot of material for Call the Conqueror. Let's see, reading from the Wikipedia. Call the Conqueror, or Call of Atlantis, is a fictional character created by writer Robert E. Howard. The character was more introspective than Howard's subsequent creation, Conan the Barbarian, whose first appearance was a rewrite of a rejected Cole story. His first published appearance, was The Shadow Kingdom in Weird Tales magazine, August of 1929. And of course, this Call the Conqueror movie, starring Kevin Sorbo and Tia Carrera, came out in 1997. And like I said, it just came and went. Let me see if I can find. The film received mostly negative reviews from critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie holds a rating of 25%. Actually, I didn't think it was that bad, but I'm pretty forgiving on some movies, especially if I like the casting. Um, it's fair. It's fair for a sword and sorcery type action movie, sort of thing that, yeah, you would say would probably benefit from the reboot treatment. Catching a cast right here. We have Kevin Sorbo, of course, as the title character, Cole. Tia Carrera as the villain, Akivasha. Let's see. Thomas Ian Griffith, Gary Lightfoot Davis, Roy Brucksmith, Harvey Firestein. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that. Karina Lombard. Yeah, pretty good casting in this. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It just didn't go over very well. And it's usually these movies, ones like Doc Savage, John Carter, Call the Conqueror. It's usually these movies that do poorly at the box office. They'll never see the light of day as far as sequels are concerned. They'll never see anything else from them. They'll never be remade. There'll never be a sequel. So these are the kinds of movies I believe could really benefit from being remade, especially if you've got dozens and dozens of novels to draw from. You go back to the pulp fiction era, the 20s, 30s, and 40s, because this is what we're talking about here. The pulp era. This is odd. I started making a list of movies I wanted to talk about tonight, and they started once I saw the era that the characters came from. It's like, oh, these are all pulp action heroes. It's kind of odd how that worked out, but it is a pretty good era because you have some very entertaining characters, whether it's Doc Savage, whether it's John Carter, Cole, Conan the Barbarian. Let's see. How far back does Edgar Rice Burroughs' A Princess of Mars go? I have to look that up real quick. That goes back to 1912. Like I said, 11 books going from 1912 to 1948. And then let me look up Doc Savage real quick. Doc Savage magazine #1, March of 1933. Really interesting when you think about all the material, all the characters out there that could be remade. I mean, if you want to look at properties to mine for content, I think these are more deserving than the ones that ones that we're getting from out of Hollywood. Let's see here. Where else do I want to go? I've got, let's see, what do I have here? I have one more movie I want to discuss, and then one TV show that I believe could really benefit from the remaking process, from being remade. Da, 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 da. All right, this also happens to be one of my favorite B movies. I've mentioned this movie before in the past and numerous times. I might as well share this tab right away. My absolute favorite sword and sorcery movie, the greatest B movie ever made, Hawk the Slayer. I'm looking at this. I'm holding this movie in my hands right now, both VHS and DVD. Let's see. Beyond the edge of darkness, there is a world of sword and sorcery. Hawk the Slayer. Oh, this movie was great. It's some say would it's some would say it's low budget, some would say it's cheesy, and they would be exactly right. It is low budget, but what they don't have in budget, they make up for in effort, I believe. It is very entertaining. It has a very basic story arc of two brothers, one good, one evil. And to share with you the entry from Wikipedia, Hawk the Slayer is a 1980 sword and sorcery adventure film directed by Terry Marcel, starring John Terry and Jack Palance. Jack Palance, who goes way over the top, chewing the scenery every chance he gets. But that's probably the part of the charm for this movie, because John Terry, playing the title character Hawk, he's stoic to the point of being wooden. So the two lead actors, they're contrasts in that regard. Stoic, heroic, brave. You have Hawk assembling a small force of fighters to help him rid he has to assemble a force of old friends. He assembles them from past adventures to help him fight against his brother and his brother's legions. Very entertaining. It does have, in some regards, a very Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven feel to it, because you have title character who gets hired or has peasants make the request of him to aid them and whatnot. So he has to go and get help. It's a very fun fantasy adventure movie. Of course, it got panned for its production values. It's long since developed a pretty good cult following, especially coming out of the 80s, when you had sword and sorcery movies left, right, and center. You had Conan the Barbarian. You had so many others, Deathstalker, just to think of some others. But Hawk the Slayer, to me, is a standout. Over the years, there's been lots of discussion of a reboot of this movie or a sequel to it. That's never come to pass, which is unfortunate. It is a sort of thing that I believe it just cries for a reboot. A big budget reboot with the same people involved from the first movie. Let's see, I didn't find the article earlier, but there's at least one article talking about the director trying to get something crowdfunded, but that didn't happen. Oh, as I'm scrolling down Wikipedia, I just happened to see the entry. Let's see. In 2015, a sequel titled Hawk the Hunter was reported to be in development with a $5 million budget. That's not a lot of money nowadays, but for a small production like this, it can be substantial. There's on there was an unsuccessful attempt to crowdfund it on Kickstarter. The intended beginning of filming in late 2015. Let's see. Since then, there's been a comic book series, miniseries put out. I'm slowly trying to collect that comic book series myself. First issue I've read of it does appear to be pretty well done. So that's the sort of thing I am looking forward to completing the run. I believe it's like 5 issues or 6 issues. Yeah, 5 or 6 issues of the Hawk the Slayer comic book, which is more or less a direct sequel to the movie. Anytime I come across discussion of some of the best low budget movies out there, usually I hear Hawk the Slayer brought up because, like I said, what they lack in budget and production values, they really do have a kind of heart to it. Let's see. Trying to look up the budget. Okay. Budget is reported to be 600,000 pounds. I'm guessing yeah, that's right. I don't know what that is in today's currency, but that's honestly not very much. Thinking back to it, it's the sort of thing you do find yourself laughing at because they really do make use of glow in the dark hula hoops, glow in the dark ping pong balls, and what that silly string that shoots from a can. The special effects in this movie is almost non-existent, but like I said, they do an excellent job with what they have. Let's see. So those were the movies I wanted to chat about for tonight. Doc Savage, John Carter, Cole the Conqueror, my thoughts on a Indiana Jones adaptation TV show, and just a silly thought I had about how Indiana Jones could cross over with Doc Savage, which could be potentially interesting. And now I'm going to shift gears a little bit to the one TV show I'm going to discuss tonight. A TV show that when it came out, I really found myself. Yeah, let's see, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Going to share this tab right here for you. Boom. Buck Rogers and the 25th Century. I'm going to preface this by saying season 1. Of course, there is a made for TV film, Buck Rogers and 25th Century, which led into the TV series. Again, I'm going to share with you a little bit of the entry from Wikipedia. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century is an American science fiction and adventure TV series produced by Universal Studios. Let's see. The series ran for 2 seasons. I'll add that even Okay. That's really odd. I have absolutely no idea if I'm still on the air or not. All of a sudden, I seem to have lost. Oh, that seems to be good. Okay. Okay. Of all things, my computer went crazy telling me that I had lost internet connection. Okay. The joys of doing things live. How about that? I am back. Apparently, I've lost internet connection. Then I had to go back into everything. I'm guessing I'm back. All right. Well, the show must go on, as they say. So I am going right back into it, talking about the one TV show for tonight, Buck Rogers and the 25th Century, an American TV show produced by Universal Studios. Series ran for 2 seasons between 1979 and 1981. The feature-length pilot episode for the series was released as a theatrical film. That's pretty cool. That was released before the series aired. The film and series was developed by Glenn A. Larson and Leslie Stevens, based on the character Buck Rogers, created in 1928 by Philip Francis Nowlin, that had previously been featured in comic strips, novels, and a serial film, and on television and radio. So I mentioned this TV show because this, again, falls in line with my topic for tonight, things that really deserve being rebooted or remade, whether it's film or TV shows. There's quite a few properties out there, franchises out there that really would benefit from being rebooted. And I actually quite enjoyed season one of Buck Rogers. That was pretty fun. Season one was fun. Uh, Not a very big fan of season two. If you remember the TV show, you probably remember season one and season two, and then the difference between the two seasons being like night and day. It's just jarring. It's very much like, oh, another example I kind of think of is Space 1999. The difference between season one and season two, just jarring. More people who are fans of season one than they are of season two. But from what I recall, season two did have its moments. It wasn't all bad. It was just different. It was a different take on the character. I quite enjoyed the tone set in season one. Buck Rogers in the 25th century, a man out of time, stranger in a strange land, that sort of thing. So much potential for story development and character development. They really should have kept that and kept it going for more than 2 seasons. Of course, with today's production values and special effects, it'd almost be a no-brainer to adapt this and draw on the old stories from the novels, or even a reboot of the original series, freshening it up with new characters and whatnot. Let me see here. There were some things I came across while I was looking up info on these movies and TV shows I was discussing tonight, because I've pretty much come to the end of my little show for tonight. I wasn't going very long. I only had like a handful of movies I wanted to chat about, and then the two TV shows. My thoughts on a Indiana Jones TV show, then my thoughts on potential Buck Rogers TV show. These are all properties that really should be rebooted. And you think about all the TV shows or movies that you've seen over the years, over the decades, you've probably have those TV shows that you've enjoyed yourself that will probably never see the rebooting or remaking process. Instead, we'll get what Hollywood gives us: those rehashing, those reboots, usually terrible, usually do a terrible injustice to the source material, what have you. Okay. Oh, where was? Here it is. There's this website I came across called internationalhero.co.uk. It's I want to I want to copy this. Nope. I have done the wrong thing. No. Here I am trying to do technology late at night. Okay. There's this pretty fun website I had come across that I was going to pull up here if I can bring it up. All right. Internationalhero.co.uk, an international catalog of superheroes. I was looking this up, trying to find information on pulp heroes or heroes and characters from the pulp era. And this one actually had quite a bit. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. Well, it's not really giving me what I want to. Here we go. Ah, yes, yes, here it is. Pulp Heroes. Here we go. Before I close out tonight, I want to share this one website that I thought was pretty neat because it does give quite a bit of info. Stars of the original pulp era. Serial pros, also known as the pulps. We have Tarzan, The Shadow, Buck Rogers, Doc Savage, John Carter. You got Zorro here. Kazar. Some of these I've heard. Oh, of course, Conan. Some of these I've heard of. Some of them I have not. So there's some of these entries do not have. Oh, here we go. Serial newspaper strips: Flash Gordon, The Phantom, Dick Tracy, Miss Fury. Serial radio adventures: The Green Hornet, Lone Ranger, Captain Midnight. Then you have a section on serial movies. These look really great. Of course, we got a little bit here for latter day pulp style heroes and villains. Of course, you got Indiana Jones, you have Buckaroo Banzai, Darkman, Agent 13, The Rocketeer. That's a fun one. That was a fun movie. A nice little throwback movie that also was quite enjoyable. Actually, I'll click on that in a little bit. But yeah, this is a website I wanted to share because it's pretty interesting reading through these. Let's see. Going to this page right here. This is their entry on Doc Savage. Real name Clark Savage Jr., normal human, adventurer. Alias the Man of Bronze. Lester Dent created Doc Savage. He was the hero of 181 novels. And I keep telling myself someday I will own all those, but that is that's going to be a lot to collect, which ran in his own pulp magazine from 1933 to 1949 and they were reprinted as paperback novels from 1964 to 1990. Okay, those might be a little bit easier to find than the original pulp magazines. 9 new novels were officially added to the canon after this point, the first of them written by Philip Jose Farmer and detailing Doc's first meeting with his fellow adventurers. So that looks pretty cool. And then also from the same website, Buck Rogers' first appearance in Armageddon 2419 AD. And then Amazing Stories, August 1928. Former Air Force pilot, later surveyor. And this is kind of crazy to look back and see what Buck Rogers looked like way back when, comparing that to the 1979-1980 TV show. And Armageddon 2419 is actually on my list of novels to buy. That's right behind Doc Savage and some Edgar Rice Burroughs. Let's see, what else do I want to share here? Of course, this website does have an entry on John Carter of Warlord of Mars. Captain John Carter, soldier, adventurer. First appearance, All Story Magazine, 1912. And of course, it goes into the movie. Let's see, it's got a little blurb on the Dark Horse. 1996 Dark Horse Comics released Tarzan John Carter 4-issue miniseries. Detailing the meeting of two of Burroughs' greatest creations. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So going back to this, I'm going to, let's see, how long I've been going on here. I've been rambling on here for almost an hour, but I have gone as far as I wanted to tonight. Checking the time here. Yeah, didn't want to stay up too late because the morning will come early and I'll have another full day at it. But I thought this would be fun. This would be a fun topic to discuss, to share some of my ideas about movies that really should be rebooted or remade. Imagine if you thought about it, you could probably think of some movies you've enjoyed that will probably never be remade themselves. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know if you come across any, or if you have any movies you've enjoyed over the years that you'd like to see rebooted or remade. Let's see. I want to click on this, and I click on that. As always, everyone, thank you for joining me tonight, whether you're live, if you're lurking out there, or if you catch this on a replay. Thank you very much. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you like what I do here, I'll continue doing what I do here. Mondays, some Mondays, Wednesday nights, Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Saturdays are my comic book live streams where I talk about all things comic books. Otherwise, I'm up all hours of the night sometimes, weaponizing my insomnia, rambling on about all things TV shows, movies, sci-fi, fantasy, whatnots. So until next time, everyone, I'll leave you all with that. Thank you again for joining me. Until next time, everyone. Oh, I see in the comments. Hello there, Edge of Time. Yes. As I'm ending my show for tonight, let me bring the music down a hair here. Before I end it, I do want to give Edge of Time a shout out. Thank you for joining me. And he says, Space 1999 will never be remade. I agree. Very much like Buck Rogers, the TV show. I quite enjoyed the first season of Space 1999. Could never get into the second season. I will one day, I keep telling myself, one day I will sit down and make myself watch the second season of Space 1999 just to see if I can get into it. I keep watching that first episode of season 2, and I find myself just giving up on it, kind of like Buck Rogers. But I do want to give Space 1999 season 2 a chance, so I'll someday I will sit down and do that. But as far as, that's an interesting one to think about. As far as rebooting Space 1999, I kind of liked it as it was. It was a product of its era. I would honestly be afraid if anyone tried to remake that today. It would certainly lose something. Of course, all the movies I've talked about tonight and the Buck Rogers TV show, they all have the potential of losing something in a reboot. That charm, that mystique to them that made them special to fans, or the fans that actually enjoyed them, whether it's Hawk the Slayer, Cole the Conqueror, or John Carter. That old Doc Savage movie I talked about earlier. I mean, those were all great movies. Enjoyable, fun. The kind of movies you kind of set your expectations down really low and just sit back and watch an entertaining movie and whatnot. But yeah, as I draw tonight's show to a close, again, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Until next time, everyone, go watch or read something you enjoy. Life is too short for bad entertainment. And with that, next time, everyone,